Don't you hate it when you know you're not supposed to do something and you do it thinking you could get away with it? And let's just say there's no one around, and yeah, you could and should be able to get away with it, but the universe has this crazy way of making things known. Hey everybody, Mike Baltazar here. And no, I'm not going to get preachy and teachy. I'm just going to share with you something that I've been guilty of so many times. And I think I've almost learned my lesson. The only time I slip is when I'm not really thinking, or there's no better word to use. So I just say it thinking I could get away with it. But yeah, you're right. I usually get stung by that. And that's that crazy 5-letter word called never. And what's funny is, an oxymoron with that is people say never. Well, guess what? You said never say it, never, which defaults to the fact that you're going to say it someday. I choose not to say never just because it does activate something in the universe. It does alter chance and fate, I believe. And ever since I was a little kid, and ever since I've heard that phrase, never say never, and been stung by it so many times, and it's hilarious, I've always been curious as to why. And my personal belief, I'm 47 years old. I've been pondering this for I don't know how long, 30, 40 years now. My personal belief is that God has this special way of reminding us that we're not God. And who are we to say never when we don't know what the future holds? And so sometimes we get little subtle reminders as to the fact that we're not God. And what better way to show us than for us to say never and then it come to pass. One of the things I had said during my late 20s is that I was never gonna run a marathon. There was this celebrity musician who had this awesome musical empire, music label, and he was young. And I remember it was in the news that, he had just, ran the New York City Marathon. And I'm thinking to myself, like, whoa, is there anything that this guy can't do? At that point in time, I was a workaholic, and a lot of my free time was going towards work. And so I knew in my mind and my imagination that with my work schedule, I wasn't going to be able to have time to train, to run as much as they run to get ready for marathons. And so I said at that time in the late 20s, never going to run a marathon. And the fact that I wasn't going to have time to train wasn't even the biggest thing. The number one thing is that I hate to run. So I just kind of just knew that wasn't going to be an option. So I thought, you fast forward to early 2024, it might have been late 2023, but I want to say it was early 2024. And I was with some people that run marathons, and I made the comment again that I was never going to do it. Made up my mind a long time ago, never going to do it. And I don't know how it happened, to be honest with you. It's a chain of unforeseen events and circumstances, brain rushes. But in 2024, I did complete a marathon, and actually did a half marathon, and hiked rim to rim at the Grand Canyon, 25 miles worth. And all of these things were nowhere near the radar. They weren't on the radar when I was in my 20s, 30s, and most of my 40s. So why am I sharing this with you? Well, because there was a 0.000 chance that I was ever going to run a marathon, but I used that magic activator word called never, and then it happened. This is one of the funny, enjoyable ways, examples of a never testimony. How many of us know that there are some not so good ones as well? Had a friend here recently who I had walked with him during a really rough season, and he had said, "Oh, I'm never going to get back with her. Even if she was going to take me back, I'm never ever going to get back with her." And in the back of my mind, it was like nails on the chalkboard, because I knew I didn't want to say anything. You know, he's in a tough season. I'm not going to get preachy and teachy with him. But lo and behold, a year later, and I don't know, they must have enjoyed each other's company for another few months, maybe close to a year, but then it fell apart, and the second time hurt worse than the first. And so that's a not so good example, but there's plenty others. One of the things that I choose not to say is that I'm never going to skydive. Will not say that. And no, it doesn't count that I'm sharing that sentence with you. I simply say, I choose not to skydive. I choose not to go in hot air balloons. I choose not to swim with the sharks. This is a really funny play on words, but at the same time, it's super serious. You know, one of the cool things that I realized during my growth experience over the last 10 plus years, but especially more so over the last few years, is you have to be super careful with your words. Be mindful of your words. And I just dropped off the kids at school right now, and we had a laugh. And I'm laughing right now, and I'm gonna do a separate recording on it. I told the kids I would, but the point of our conversation, how we ended things, was I told Malachi, say what you mean what you say. It's that simple. Being mindful with your words, being careful with your words. You know, in movies we hear, you know, a sheriff or an outlaw say, you know, watch your words, they might be your last. I think a lot of times that's the case with the relationships that we have, whether it's a professional relationship, a romantic relationship, could it be a relationship with friends and family. There are some things that we can say that we absolutely don't mean, but we say it, and perception is reality, and it impacts that relationship forever and ever. I mean, how many of us have known somebody that said something at work and they lose their job, and those were their last words? Choose not to say never. Play it safe, play it smart, and have fun with your life. Have fun with today. Thank you so much for checking out today's video. God bless you. Cheers. My decaf coffee this morning. And God bless.